My name is George Ibanez and I am with Medigap today. Our agency specializes on helping people that are on Medicare. And today is going to be a very special video. What we decided to do is to put together a compilation of questions that people ask us on a regular basis. And what I decided to do is I'm bringing our customer service manager so she can share with us the questions that are the most common asked questions by our clients and prospective customers, and we're going to answer them all today. Well, here's Laura. And Laura, can you tell us which is the most common question that people ask you on a regular basis?
Well, I would say, should I choose a Medigap plan or a Medicare Advantage plan?
Ouch. That's an easy one, but at the same time is a tough one. And what I would say that my answer will be to a client is, if you have an opportunity to go on a Medicare supplement plan, you should probably think about going with the supplement instead of the Advantage plan if you can afford it, for a number of reasons. But one of the main reasons would be no networks on a Medicare supplement plan.
True.
Versus networks on a Medicare Advantage plan. On a Medicare supplement plan, you don't have to worry about co-pays, and you don't have to worry about checking whether your doctor is in network or out of network.
Yeah,
So,
for example, I mean, not to butt in, but like if somebody needs to get this crazy heart surgery, they don't have to stay within a network. They could fly wherever in the country as long as they accept Medicare. They can go to any doctor they want.
that is correct. And this is one that I will agree 100% with Laura. I would always suggest a Medicare supplement first. And if the person just simply cannot afford a Medicare supplement plan, then we would find them a Medicare Advantage plan that they can afford. So let's move into question number 2.
Okay, are there any networks on the plans I choose?
Well, that is kind of tied up to the previous question, depending on the plan that you choose. So if you select a Medicare supplement plan, you will never have a network. You can simply go to any doctor or any hospital in the United States that accepts Medicare. So on a supplement, don't worry about the network. On a Medicare Advantage plan, you better check before you go to the doctor.
It's true.
Or before you go to a hospital to make sure that that doctor or that hospital is in the network so you don't get any surprises.
So the next question I have is, can I switch out of a Medicare Advantage plan if I don't like it?
Well, the answer in that question would be, it depends. It depends when you want to make the change. And it's very simple. With a Medicare Advantage plan, you have different times of the year that you can make your changes. And you can make your changes from one Advantage plan to another one, or to a Medicare supplement, whatever you want to do, between October 15 and December 7th. That is called the Annual Enrollment Period, or AEP. If you make a decision during that period of time and you decided you want to go with a Medicare Advantage plan from one company, and here comes January or February, and you decide that you made a mistake and you want to switch to a different company, you will have one more opportunity to make those changes, which is the OEP. And that starts January 1 and ends on March 31st. Aside from that, the only other chance that you would have to make any changes would be if there would be any special election periods in your state.
For example, if you move, there's so many different SEPs, so we would always check on that for you.
Correct.
Okay, so do I need pre-authorization for procedures is the next question.
Well, that would depend. If you have a Medicare supplement plan, you will not need any pre-authorizations for procedures. If you have a Medicare supplement plan, the decision will be made strictly between yourself and your doctor. And if it is a Medicare approved procedure like a surgery or test or anything like that, all your doctor has to do is put the order in, and you will get your procedure done or your surgery done or whatever you need done as long as it's a Medicare approved procedure. Now, if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, it's a very
Totally
different.
Very
different game. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you will need a pre-authorization to get done. If you need to get done a surgery or an MRI or a CAT scan or any kind of procedure, and the way it works is your doctor will have to ask for pre-authorization to the insurance carrier that you selected. It doesn't matter which carrier it is, whether it's Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, whoever. They're all going to work the same. You're going to need a pre-authorization in order to get that procedure. The procedure will not be done till you get your pre-authorization from the carrier. So you have to be sure that your doctor is pushing that pre-authorization so you get your procedure done right away. Otherwise, it could take weeks or even months to get a pre-authorization done with a Medicare Advantage plan.
So George, what do Medicare supplements cover?
Well, Medicare supplements will cover any medically necessary procedures that are approved by Medicare. They will cover your hospitalizations, they will cover your doctor's office, surgeries, MRIs, CAT scans, all the basic core services that you get from either a doctor or a hospital facility will be covered under the Medicare supplement plan. Now, they won't be covered things like your pedicure or your manicure or a Visa gift card or taking you out shopping or your dentist. However, your core medical necessities that you have will be covered better than any other plan that is there, better than any private Medicare Advantage plan or any private plan before the age of 65.
Well, not to interrupt, but a lot of our clients do travel. So is there a benefit having a supplement if you like to travel?
Well, sure. And the benefit that you would have with a Medicare supplement plan is very simple. There are no networks. So you can travel anywhere you want to go within the continental US, and even if you go to Hawaii, it doesn't really matter. And your Medicare supplement plan will cover you no matter where you go, and there won't be any networks. So if you need to go to the doctor, just go.
Good. Okay, so George, what do Advantage plans cover is the next question. And I must tell you that even my own father has taken advantage of the Advantage plans. He got dental work done, he got new glasses, he got very expensive hearing aids. There's a lot of things that are really nice about an Advantage plan. What do you have to say about that?
Well, one thing that I can say about Medicare Advantage plan, they're great value. They're better than the plans for the people under 65. Now, are they going to cover the core benefits that Medicare covers as good as a Medicare supplement plan? No, they will not. However, they're a great low budget solution for somebody that cannot afford a Medicare supplement plan, and they will cover some ancillary benefits such as dental, vision, hearing, etc., etc. However, on the core benefits, they will not cover as much as a Medicare supplement does, and you will have co-pays, which you do not have on a Medicare supplement plan, unless you get a plan in, and you will get a couple of little co-pays, like $20 for the hospital and $50 for the emergency room. But Advantage plans, they're good plans, but expect to get copays, because the fact that there are zero premium plans, most of them, does not mean that you will not have some copays for different things, such as hospitalizations, MRI, CAT scans, doctor's visits, etc., etc. But are they a viable plan for people that cannot afford a supplement? Absolutely.
So I know that you kind of explained a little bit about when can I enroll on Medicare, but can you expand on that?
Yes, and that is a question that really touches me really deep, because I just went on Medicare in June. So here's my advice to anyone that is going on Medicare. Medicare is very slow at doing things. So the time frame that you have to enroll in Medicare, under normal circumstances, if you're turning 65 and you want to get into Medicare, is you have 3 months prior to you turning 65. You have the month that you turn 65 and 3 months after. Now, I wouldn't advise to anyone to wait till the month off that you're turning 65 or the months after, because it takes them forever.
Why do you tell them what happened to you?
Well, in my case, I decided to try to enroll myself on Medicare through the Social Security website, which is where you actually have to enroll for Medicare. And there was an issue on the website with my information, so I couldn't make it happen there. So I decided to go to the office of the Social Security to do it. I went to the office of the Social Security, and I did it about a month and a half, 2 months prior to the time that I had to do it. So I went there. I waited for a long time in the rain, by the way, and to find out when I was there that there was an issue that needed to be corrected. They couldn't correct it at the Social Security office, and they had to do a few things to make things happen. To make a long story short, here I was on the month that I was starting Medicare without a Medicare number, without a Medicare card. I couldn't get any insurance, because you can't get insurance outside of Medicare when you're on Medicare. So it's a good thing that I wasn't sick or anything like that, because it would have been very complicated if I had to go to a doctor or the hospital, if I need any kind of procedure or anything like that. So my advice is that you do this. When you have the first 3 months prior to you, the month that you turn 65, immediately go ahead and apply to Medicare. I don't care if you do it in the Social Security website, or if you go to the office of Medicare, or if you call them. But either way, you want to do it with plenty of time, because it will take time for you to get approved.
But what if you're retiring? Is there, like, if you're 68 or 70?
Well, that's a different story. If you are retiring and you're with an employer that is providing your insurance, you're going to have to do the same procedure. You're going to have a different enrollment time, but you're going to have to make it happen in advance, because Medicare, it just takes time. So from the time that you decide that you want to retire, hopefully you have at least 90 days to do the entire process, because it takes time. So the best thing you can take out of this portion of the video is don't wait till the last minute, because you're not going to get it on time.
So George, how do I enroll on a Medigap plan, and where or how do I shop for a Medigap plan? Do I use an agent or a broker?
Well, enrolling on a Medigap plan is actually a very simple process, and all you have to do, depending upon at what time you need to enroll, if it's your initial enrollment period, to do an application for a Medigap plan, there's not much to do. All you do is you put the basic information on the person, the Medicare number, and voila, that's all you have to do. You send it, it will get approved, and you're good to go. Now, if the person is trying to enroll in a Medigap plan after their initial enrollment period, then they would have to, there's going to be an application, and when we take the application, there's going to be a series of medical questions that they have to answer. If they pass underwriting, meaning that they pass the guidelines that the insurance company has in order to get approved, then they will be able to get into a Medicare supplement plan.
But that doesn't always happen, correct?
No, sometimes you're going to find people that do an application for a Medicare supplement plan and they don't get approved. They get declined for whatever medical condition they have. But in general, Medicare supplement plan companies are very, very flexible with those applications, and it's almost very hard to get declined on a Medicare supplement plan unless you have a serious illness. Now, going back to the part of the questions that you asked me.
Agent versus broker.
Agent versus broker. Okay, I'm going to try to expand on that because it is a simple question, but I want to make sure that you understand. So the first thing you need to understand is whether you go to an agent that works directly for an insurance company or you go to a broker that represent multiple insurance companies just like we do, what you're going to pay for the Medicare supplement plan is going to be exactly the same. We don't charge to do an application, we don't charge to do anything, we get paid directly by the insurance company. So if you select actually an insurance company employee, the problem is going to be that they're only going to give you one price for one insurance company because that's all they can do. For a very simple fact, if you're calling United Healthcare, for example, and you ask for a quote for a Medicare supplement plan, they're not going to give you a quote for Humana or Mutual of Omaha or Aetna or any of that. They can only give you a quote for the company that they represent. So they may have a high price, they may have maybe an okay price, it could be. However, you will never know if you're overpaying or underpaying or whatever unless you call a broker. And the reason is because a broker has a multitude of insurance companies that they represent. They can search for the plan that you like, a plan G or a plan N, whichever plan you like to look at, and they can find 5 or 10 or 20 different insurance companies for you to choose from. And all the plans of the same letter will be 100% identical. So a plan G is a plan G no matter what company you go to. A plan N is a plan N no matter what company you go to. So why pay more to go with a plan G from an expensive insurance company if you can select the same plan G with somebody for less money, is going to give you the same benefits, and all the benefits are really established by Medicare, not by the insurance companies. So it's important. I'm going to leave this as kind of like a reminder to everybody that Medicare supplement plans are identical going from company to company. So a plan G with one company will be the same as a plan G with another company. Same exact situation with a plan N. Now, of course, you want to go with a reputable company that has been around for a while, but you definitely don't want to overpay with a company just because you saw an ad on TV, because they're not going to give you any different than the other company.
Okay, so speaking of the Medigap plans, how do I know if I am getting the best deal on a Medigap plan?
Well, that is pretty simple, but the first rule of thumb, the first thing you want to think about it is, how long have I been with a Medicare supplement plan with the same company? I can tell you this much by experience, with all the experience that we had over the years, that if you have been with the same Medicare supplement company for a number of years, 4, 5, 6, 10 years, you're definitely not going to get the best plan, the best rate. And the reason is because these plans go up every year, anywhere between 6% all the way up to 14, 15%. So if you start adding that up over time, you probably would have a terrible rate if you have been with the same carrier over the last 5 or 10 years. So that's a good rule of thumb. If you have been with a carrier for a long time, you better call your broker or call us to give you another quote to compare to the price that you have, so you can switch your plan and go with a company that will give you a better rate. One thing that you may want to do is you may want to ask your agent, how are you going to protect me from future rate increases for the Medicare supplement plan? And I can tell you right off the bat that unless your agent is a broker, the answer is he won't protect you from future rate increases, because he cannot quote you or put you with any other insurance company if he only represents one and he's a direct agent for an insurance company. So my suggestion, if you ask your agent or broker to give you a price or a better price on the Medicare supplement plan, and they're not willing to quote multiple companies there, run away, because that person is not working for you, and that person does not have your best interest at heart. The next question that we get all the time, and I'm going to let you answer that, is, will my doctor and hospital accept my Medicare supplement plan?
As long as they accept Medicare, then you're good to go.
So I can go to any doctor or any hospital?
That is correct.
Great. That gets that one out of the way, and it's a common question that people ask all the time.
Well, so for example, if someone goes into their doctor's office and they say that, oh, we don't accept your Medicare supplement company's plan, what happens then?
Well, every once in a while we will get a client that will come up with a question or an answer like that they went to a doctor's office, they bump into the receptionist or somebody that was new in the office, and they told them, we don't see this particular plan or this other plan. So what you need to be very specific with when you go to the doctor's office or the hospital is to let them know that you have original Medicare.
Correct.
With a Medicare supplement plan. If you have original Medicare with a Medicare supplement plan, you can go to any doctor or any hospital you want. It doesn't matter. But unfortunately, sometimes there may be somebody inexperienced in the doctor's office, and you may have a company that has Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage plans, like Aetna, for example, or United Healthcare, or Humana. They have both. And the doctor's office may not take their Medicare Advantage plan,
Right.
but they will take their Medicare supplement plan. So all you need to let them know is that you have original Medicare and you have a Medicare supplement plan to go along with it. Next question. Can my Medicare supplement plan be canceled by the insurance company?
No, it cannot unless you're not paying for it.
So if I have a lot of claims, or if I go to the doctor a lot,
Nope.
if I get really sick,
Nope,
they cannot cancel it.
that is correct.
Great. So understand that, again, I'm going to say it one more time, a Medicare supplement plan cannot be canceled unless you're not paying the premium. And it will also not change because they're permanent plans. Different than Medicare Advantage plans that change from year to year, Medicare supplement plans are permanent plans. So your Plan G or your Plan N or your Plan F, whatever plan you have, will continue being exactly the same, except for maybe the deductible that changes from year to year. But other than that, the plan itself cannot change and cannot be touched unless you don't pay your premium.
So one person asked, I have some medical conditions and I don't think that I will be approved with a Medigap plan.
Well, that depends on what your medical condition is, but what I will tell you in general, that Medicare supplement plan applications are not very difficult. It's not very complicated to get approved on a Medicare supplement plan, and the applications and the decisions that the underwriting department makes, they're a lot more flexible than you think. So before you automatically assume you're not going to get approved, you need to call us and find out. Because we know by dealing with a multitude of insurance companies, the different underwriting guidelines that everybody has. You may have one insurance company that may say, well, if the person weighs over a certain amount of pounds, we're not going to get them approved. Where you may have other companies that actually they don't even ask you the weight on the person, and they don't care about that.
So every company is different.
Every company has different underwriting guidelines. So I will tell you, don't give up. If you're trying to get approved on a Medicare supplement plan, most of the times we have a place to place you. So if you're concerned about it, all you have to do is call and we will help you.
Another question that we get commonly is, how much is my Medicare going to cost me monthly?
Well, Medicare Part A is not going to cost you anything for as long as you have been working in the United States for at least 40 quarters. So that part won't be costing you anything. However, Medicare Part B has a cost. And for most people, Medicare Part B costs $174.70. Unless you're making in excess of a certain amount, and I have another video about that, but it's too complicated and we're not going to talk about it in this particular video.
Can I ask another question? I'm sorry to interrupt, but does that change every year, the amount that you pay?
Yes.
Okay, so you need to check.
Yes,
okay.
Most of the years it will change. This, on 2024, it was $174.70. I'm not sure how much it's going to be in 2025, but it's probably going to be somewhat around the same amount. When it goes up, it doesn't go up much. So it's safe to say that if this year was $174.70, maybe next year it's going to go up maybe $5 or $10.
Okay.
But at this point, we don't know.
Next question that I have is, how do I pay for my Part B premiums if I am not collecting Social Security?
Okay, so if you're not collecting Social Security, basically there is one way that you can pay for your Medicare, and that's pretty much the only way, and it is Medicare. You let Medicare know, Medicare will go ahead and bill you quarterly, and you can pay for your Medicare once a quarter.
Oh.
Now, some people request that, and then they send them a monthly check to the Social Security or Medicare, and that's how they pay for it. But normally, most people, what they do is they request a bill, and Medicare sends them a quarterly bill with the quarterly statements, and they just send them a check.
What type of people would not have Social Security trying to sign up for Medicare?
Well, that would be somebody like myself, for example. I'm still working. I'm over the age of 65, and I don't collect Social Security. So if I don't collect Social Security, they can't take my Medicare payment out of my Social Security check because I don't have one. So what do I have to do every month? Very simple. I just send them a quarterly check. Well, they send me a quarterly statement, and I just pay for the entire quarter.
Oh, good to know. Okay, can I get dental, vision, and hearing with my Medigap plan? I get that a lot. And I know it's a little complicated, but there are some things that are covered with the supplement plan, but you know.
Okay, so with a Medicare supplement plan, you will not get vision, dental, and hearing. Now, can you get vision, dental, and hearing insurance if you have a Medicare supplement plan? Yes, you can buy a policy for dental, vision, and hearing. Does my Medicare supplement plan covers some of that? And I would say if you have a vision problem, for example, if you need cataract surgery, the Medicare supplement plan will pay for that.
Yes.
Because Medicare will pay for that.
Yes.
And you won't have to worry about paying for anything. But unless you have an actual medical necessity and not just a corrective issue that you require glasses to read or to drive or anything like that, dental, vision, and hearing will only be covered if you have a separate policy with a Medicare supplement plan.
Okay, this kind of hits home with me. My father had to go into a rehab after hospitalization. Will Medicare cover rehab?
Yes, Medicare will cover rehab. So if you're in the hospital, now let's make sure we understand rehab. Rehab is not a nursing home. Rehab is if you're in the hospital and you just had a surgery, for example, let's say you had a hip replacement as an example, what they will do is once you're done with the surgery and the hospital is ready to discharge you, they will allow you to go into rehab for you to do all the necessary exercises and everything you have to do to be ready to go home after a hip replacement.
Can I ask one question? Is there a difference when you have a supplement plan versus a Medicare Advantage plan when going into rehab?
Well, there is a difference because on a Medicare supplement plan, if you go to rehab, you're not going to pay for anything. However, on a Medicare Advantage plan, if you go to rehab, there's going to be some kind of daily copay that you will pay in with the Medicare Advantage plan.
But they do allow you a certain amount of days, correct?
They do give you a
With
certain
the Advantage plan, that
They
is.
do give you a certain amount of days with both, except with the supplement, you're not going to pay. With the Advantage plan, you're going to pay some kind of copay.
Okay, good to know. And then the next question is, will Medicare cover an assisted living facility?
Unfortunately, not. Medicare does not pay for any kind of permanent facilities, such as an assisted living, because you can no longer live by yourself or you have some kind of problem. So no, the answer is categorically no.
Okay, and then will Medicare cover a nursing home? The answer is no, but what would you add to that?
Well, there's really not much to add to that other than if you need to make sure that a nursing home or an assisted living facility is something that you're concerned about maybe at one point in your life to need it, you're going to have to buy a separate policy, a long-term care insurance policy. That is the only kind of policy, the only kind of protection that will help you if you need to go either in a nursing home or in an assisted living facility.
I think people should definitely be looking into long-term care policies. Not when they're later on in life, but when they're maybe just turned, what age would you say is a good age to be looking at long-term care?
Definitely not when you turn 65
Right.
or older, because it is cost prohibitive. So I would say if that is something that is of any kind of concern to you, you should be thinking about getting a long-term care policy in your younger years, when you're maybe in your 40s or your 50s.
Right.
Because once you turn 65, it's going to be extremely expensive.
Right.
So here's another one that they probably ask you more than they ask me when people call, but how often have you seen excess charges on a Medicare supplement plan N?
I've never seen it. I've never seen it happen. So I know it's listed excess charges on the plan N, but I've never seen it.
But that doesn't mean that they don't exist, but I would tell you that most hospitals, if not all of them, don't charge you excess charges. And most doctors, and I would say probably 96, 97% of doctors, do not charge excess charges either. Now, some doctors may, but I personally, I have been in the business for over 30 years. I have never seen one single person, or I have heard of anyone that have been charged excess charges.
Me neither.
Now here's a pretty common question, it comes up all the time, and what is the difference between a Medicare supplement plan F and a plan G?
Well, there's no deductible for the plan F.
Okay, so the plan F has no deductible, and the plan G has a $240 deductible that may change for next year and the year after. Currently it's $240. It may change a few bucks the next year and the next year, but other than that, there is no difference, except for one thing. If you want to get a plan F right now, you couldn't get it.
Right.
Unless you were born before a certain year, and I can go into another one of my videos for that, because it's more of a complicated answer. But the bottom line is, if you're able to get plan F, or if you're able to get plan G, or either one of them, the only difference between them is the annual deductible. That's it, nothing else.
George, will my supplement plan price change if I move?
Yes, most likely it will change. It will be rare that a Medicare supplement company does not increase or decrease your price if you move. So depending upon where you move, your Medicare supplement plan should adapt to whatever area that you're moving and should mimic the same pricing of whatever area you're moving to. So if you're in the state of Florida, for example, and you move to New York, most likely your Medicare supplement will greatly increase.
Right.
If you're in the state of Florida and you move to the state of Arkansas, most likely, not most likely, but for sure, your Medicare supplement will greatly decrease.
Yes.
So it all depends on where you're moving to.
True. Okay, George, the last question I have is, would you recommend a cancer policy if you have a Medigap plan already or an Advantage plan already?
I would say yes. I would recommend a cancer policy for anybody. It doesn't matter if they have a Medicare supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan, because there's definitely going to be some unexpected expenses. If you have a Medicare supplement, you probably won't get that many unexpected expenses, but since cancer policies are basically the kind of policies that they send you a check upon diagnosis, it will probably help you paying for a lot of things that may not be medically related, but you're not going to be able to go to work probably.
Right.
If you have some cancer treatment, or there's going to be something that is not going to be paid for.
Like rent,
by
mortgage.
Of course, rent, mortgage, etc., etc., etc. So I will say it doesn't matter whether you have a Medicare supplement plan or you have a Medicare Advantage plan. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, I definitely tell you,
yes,
you must have a cancer policy, because different than on the supplement, on the cancer policy, on the Medicare Advantage plan, I'm sorry, you will not only have some additional expenses because you may not be able to go to work or you need transportation, etc., but on an Advantage plan, there's going to be a lot of expenses, such as 20% for chemo and 20% for radiation. So I would say it doesn't matter which plan you have, supplement or Advantage plan, a cancer policy is always recommended. If you like the content of this video, leave us a comment in the section below and like and subscribe. Additionally, if you have any questions that you need us to answer, give us a call at the 800 number in the bottom of the screen and we will help you with that.
And share it with your friends that also need this kind of information.
And like and subscribe.